people used to keep fish as pets in OA. It seemed a crazy idea when nowadays fish are as hard to come by as mermaids. Sure, there's food such as salmon and cod, but only because they're produced. Each package has the stamp, "No living breathing fish was harmed in the making of this weird-ass meat product." Despite this, believe it or not, you can still see fish today. Well, specifically, there are 3 types of people who can see them. One is the rich, not to be confused with the famous. To get a fish, you have to be someone who handles money so filthy it gets under your fingernails when you look at it. The second type of person are the black market handlers who give the rich the fish. The third type of person is the one Joel Goldberry wanted to be, the type that are recreating the fish. Recreating is a vital process to seeing any species since humans have been the last living animal for thousands of years. Scientists have been working on remaking what was already lost with fossils and ancient bones. Most attempts on animals aren't successful. The chemical makeup is just far too complex, but there is an animal simple enough that scientists have been able to recreate them. Fish. What the people in OA called household fish, to be more specific. Their tiny bodies make it easier for the materials to bind together and make something living. Joel always thought it was interesting that when fish were kept as pets in OA, it was thought they were difficult to keep alive. If only they would have known how hard it would be thousands of years later when the fish were extinct. The ancient people of that time would cycle through fish like bottles of water. Now they were so rare you'd have to kill a man to see one. Joel had been studying fish his entire life. He had been under the impression that he could become a scientist when he grew up, and he could see a fish for himself. This was before his assessment turned him out as a doctor instead. He had tried not to do so well on the medical exam so he could test into the animal refabrication program, but he got nearly perfect scores. Joel thought a perfect score should have been what was required of the medical program, but he hadn't counted on the personality questions. Now he was unhappily esteemed and had yet to see a fish. No matter how hard Joel tried on yearly assessments to fail as a doctor, his rankings got higher due to what read as a humble nature. Joel did not despise helping people, but who he really wanted to help was himself. When Joel's career and knowledge failed him the opportunity to see a fish, Joel turned to what was commonly known about those 3 certain types of people. Joel couldn't be a scientist, so Joel sought the black market. Joel did not entertain the idea that he could win over any black marketeer with money, but he knew he could get information. No, it wasn't the black market that would give him the sight he longed to see, but the CEO of Kopi Fans. This man was as slimy as they came, forcing his product onto coffee distribution lines and reaping the benefits. He was cold and calculating and used every resource he could find and squandered nothing. Everything and everyone was usable to this man, and that was what Joel was looking for. It was a Wednesday night when Joel was delivered to a Kopi Fans headquarters. Joel thought he ought to be scared to meet someone so dangerous, but he couldn't convince himself to be. He was entirely sure of his usefulness. Joel was left in a dark room that was empty aside from himself, and a red circular carpet that spread the expanse of the room. Unlike in the movies, Joel didn't have to wait long for the CEO to show up. The man entered the room alone. No bodyguards, no confidants, just him. "Your intentions are obvious," he told Joel before he said anything. "Strangers who spoke to you for 5 seconds would know you're after my fish." Joel waited a moment to see if it was safe for him to speak. "Yes," Joel agreed. His intentions were not as hostile as the man made them out to be, but he was not going to argue the small details. "I'm not a charitable man, Joel Goldberry. You seem like a smart man, so why are you here?" the CEO asked. "I'm not asking for charity," Joel clarified. "I'm willing to pay for what I want." The CEO didn't pretend to ask what money Joel would give him. He already stated he knew that Joel was a smart man. "You came here unprotected. Anybody with seeing eyes could follow you," the man pointed out. He turned his body away from Joel, beginning to walk around him. "I had to persuade spectators to look the other way," the man informed him. "Thank you," Joel said politely. "What will you offer me?" The man cut to the chase. Joel had been prepared to say it. JO3L wouldn't regret what he said, but it didn't stop how the wrongness of what he would say felt. "My hands," Joel replied. There are no further words needed to be spoken between the two. The 2 words conveyed enough. Joel was a very skilled doctor. He was a doctor that was precise and perhaps best in his field. He could heal like no other could before with the knowledge he accumulated in his study for animal refabrication. Joel knew exactly how a living being ticked, what made them work, and what would make that ticking stop. It would be easily played off as an accident, and more than a couple would suffice as stress put on the man as the best doctor. The CEO could use his hands as he liked for the price Joel so desperately needed. The CEO pretended to consider the offer. Joel knew better. This was long decided. Now it was just the details. "Then you'll have it," the man told Joel. Joel practically felt his heart split wide open with the joy of it. He tempered his expression. This tempered expression only broke when the man snapped his fingers to a wall he hadn't noticed before opening up. 2 tanks with a silhouette of squirming life forms were wheeled into the room. Hey, it's Faye. If you enjoyed that story, please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to hear more stories, subscribe to us here. Table of Fables releases weekly stories, not only on YouTube, but on Instagram and Twitter as well, if you'd like to check us out there too. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you here again next time. Bye!